Hey beautiful people, what is up and welcome back to my channel. I am Jamila and I love all things beauty. I love all things makeup, I love all things skincare, and I especially love finding high-end and luxury beauty products at bargain prices. Yes, we do. Okay, all right, so here's the scene. Why? That was such an evil laugh. Oh my gosh. All right, okay. Anyways, here's the scene. So, as you guys saw from the title of today's video, today we will be talking about bronzers. Now, I absolutely love bronzers. Aside from eyeshadow, bronzer is probably my second favorite part of my routine. I love just looking bronzed, just looking like I've been on the beach whole day, looking like I was in my natural habitat of being home in the Caribbean. So that is why I absolutely love bronzer. And pretty recently, I've been on a huge bronzer hunt. Now, within my collection, I pretty much had a couple of my favorites. I love the Fenty Beauty Coconutty bronzer. I love the Morphe Phenom bronzer. I love the Marc Jacobs. I think it's Tantalize. Whatever the deeper shade is. I love the Marc Jacobs bronzer. Now, those are like staples within my routine. But I wanted to try out some new ones to see if there are any new bronzers on the market, new formulas that I could fall in love with. So, over the last couple of weeks, I picked up 4 bronzers. Well, it's actually 5, but 2 of them are the same brand. It's just 2 different shades, so I'm saying 4. So I grabbed 4 bronzers, and I've been testing them out. So I wanted to come on here and give you guys a little bit of a review on the bronzers I've tried and let you all know where some of these bronzers stand, because not all of these are staying in my collection. So let me show y'all what I'm working with. These are the bronzers I have been trying out for the past, I want to say like 3 weeks. So let me just go in and give you guys my thoughts on these bronzers. So I want to start with the first bronzer I picked up, and that is the LYS Love Yourself Matte Bronzer in the shade Strength. Now, this is a Black-owned clean beauty brand at Sephora. It's relatively new, so it's only been out for a couple of months at this point. And this is the bronzer. It is absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. And I love this. This is actually the bronzer I'm wearing on my face right now. I don't know if you guys can tell, I've had it on for a couple of hours. But what I love about this bronzer is that it's not super red. Now, this does lean, in my opinion, a little bit more neutral, but it does give me the warmth that I like to have on my skin. So let me give you guys a nice swatch here. This has become one of my absolute favorite bronzers. I think that it's just really beautiful on the skin. It is a matte bronzer, it is a powder bronzer, but it doesn't feel powdery. It just feels really nice and lightweight, and it blends into the skin absolutely beautifully. And the other good thing about this bronzer is that it's $18. It's so affordable. Compared to all of the other bronzers I'm going to show you guys, this one is the cheapest and by far probably one of my favorites. I don't want to rank them because I really do enjoy all of the ones that I'm about to show you guys. But this one is definitely up there, considering how much this costs compared to the others. Even though it is cheaper than the others, I think this quality is top notch. I think the packaging is beautiful. I think the packaging is luxe. So this is definitely one that I would recommend if you are on the hunt for a new bronzer, but you wanted something that was a little bit on the more affordable side. Now, this one does have 5 shades, and this shade here, Strength, which is the dark shade, is the second to last shade. So there's 1 shade deeper in this bronzer. So overall, I think it does have a pretty good range for bronzers, considering some of the others that I've seen and tried. The next bronzer that I want to talk to you guys about is, I believe, the newest bronzer on the scene. And that is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Bronzer. And this is in the shade Dark. And this is what that looks like. This is, again, another matte bronzer. This is the second to last deepest shade, so there is 1 shade deeper, but that one is not available and hasn't been available since the launch. I don't know what that's about. But when I first picked this up, I actually wasn't sure if this would work on my skin tone, but it does. It does show up really, really beautifully. It is a much softer formula. And you do have to build it up. That's the one thing that I've figured out with this bronzer, is that it doesn't immediately show up. You have to build. But For how soft and buttery this bronzer is, I don't mind that. I don't mind that I have to do a little bit of building to get this to show up. And again, as you can see where I'm going with a ton of these bronzers, this is not red. This definitely still leans more in that warm but warm neutral category than the warm red category. So this is definitely one that I would recommend. This bronzer retails for $28, so it is in that sort of high-end range, but still a lot more affordable than some of the other bronzers I had been looking at. And you get 12 grams of product, so you get a pretty decent amount of product. With the Love Yourself bronzer, you get 6.5 grams, so you get about half the amount of product in this one compared to this one. And this one is $18, and this one is $28. So just something to be mindful of if you are concerned about price per gram when you are thinking about purchasing bronzers. And these are the two shades here. So you can see this one is definitely a lot deeper than this one, and this one shows up a lot easier. But on the skin, they both look really beautiful. I will say that this one does give me a more natural bronze as compared to this one. So it just depends on what I'm feeling like. If I want to look really, really bronzed, or if I just want it to be a nice sort of flush of color on my face. Next, I want to talk to you guys about a bronzer that I was super excited for, but actually really disappointed by. And that is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer. And this is in the shade number 3 Tan. And the reason why I was disappointed by this bronzer is because it doesn't show up on me. So this is the bronzer here. This bronzer comes in 4 shades. Number 3 is the second to last deepest. There's one more that's deeper, and I mean really deep. It's so beautiful. It's this really rich bronzer, but in my opinion, I feel like it's a little too deep for me, which is why I decided to go with this one. But Lordy, that was not the best decision, because this one doesn't show up on me at all. Now, I could probably use this to like set my entire face, but this bronzer is $55. So if I'm gonna spend $55, I want it to show up. Otherwise, I would spend a lot less money and just get a face powder. That's just what it is. So this is the number 3 Tan bronzer, and let me swatch it next to the other two so you guys can see. And it does have an absolutely beautiful, really lovely buttery formula as well, but it doesn't show up on my skin. Not at all. And when I tried wearing this, I had to build and build and build, and it was like trying to force something to appear on my skin, and it just wasn't great. So you guys can see here, this is the Charlotte Tilbury number 3 Tan, Makeup by Mario, and then the LYS Beauty. And you can clearly see that this one is extremely light, and that's after sort of like 3 layers of me digging my finger into it and really trying to get the product on there. And when I tried applying this to my face, it was nothing. So I was really disappointed by this. I am returning this, and I did actually go ahead and purchase the number 4. Now, my hope is that even though it looks really, really rich in the pan, my hope is that when I apply it to the face, I can diffuse some of that out, because I don't like harsh bronzers, and I don't like bronzers that are too red, as I mentioned. So I'm hoping that I can go in with a light hand and still get a really beautiful bronze, because I know a lot of people really do love the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, and I want to be able to experience the formula. But in my opinion, I really and truly feel like there is a shade missing between number 3 and number 4. Like number 3, we went from tan to deep and completely ignored that there was a whole medium deep skin tone range, and it just it's not fair. I mean, Charlotte is a luxury brand at this point, right? Like, she can afford to add another shade in a bronzer. I'm just saying, like, I feel like it's not too much to ask to not forget about medium deep people. And the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer retails for $55, but this one actually comes with 16 grams of product. So you get a ton of product. And while this does retail for $55, what I do appreciate about the packaging of Charlotte is that this is refillable. So instead of repurchasing the entire bronzer, you can just repurchase the pan, pop this out, and the pan, I believe, is like $39. So you can technically purchase the bronzer without the beautiful packaging for just $39. So definitely something to consider, especially because you're going to get 18 grams of product, which is a ton of product. And the last product that I want to talk to you guys about is the Dior bronzer. And this is the bronzer that I picked up in 2 different shades because I honestly couldn't decide which one would be best for me. And I picked this up because I had heard and I had seen so many rave reviews. Everyone talks about this bronzer. Everyone loves this bronzer. For many people, this is their holy grail. So I wanted to give this a fair shot. So I picked this up in number 7 and number 8. And this bronzer retails for $48 and you only get 9 grams of product, so not a ton of product and a very expensive bronzer. Now what I do like about this bronzer though is the packaging. It comes in this really cute soft touch packaging, which I think is very, very luxe, and it could be a little bit dangerous considering that, you know, bronzer can get all over it and just make it dirty, but I do really enjoy, but I do like the packaging. I do think that it's really luxe. So let me show you guys the 2 shades so you can see why I didn't know which one to pick up. So these are the 2 Dior bronzers. This one is the shade number 7 and this one is shade number 8. So you can see that these 2 are very different. This one is the deepest shade in the bronzer. It is extremely rich and definitely more on the warm red side. And this one is the second to last shade and it's definitely more golden yellow neutral undertone, which is my preference. However, I was concerned that number 7 wouldn't show up on me. So I decided that I wanted to pick up number 8 as well, just in case. And here's the thing. Number 7 does show up on me, but barely. And when I say barely, I mean barely. And considering that we are going into summer and I will get darker over the next couple of months, I don't know if this is one that I want to keep. Now, is it a beautiful bronzer? Is the formula absolutely stunning? Yes, I love the formula of this, but I just don't think that this is deep enough for me in the summertime. Now, number 8 on the other hand, absolutely beautiful. I love how number 8 shows up on me. Now, it definitely is a warmer bronzer, so it does lean a little bit more red, but it goes onto the skin really, really nicely, and I feel like I don't get that immediate pigment. I feel like I can really build it up slowly and get that really nice bronze look that I like without feeling like I went overboard. So let me swatch both of these so you guys can see them. So this is number 7. I don't even know if y'all can see that on my finger. That's 7, and this is 8. Can't really see. So here we have number 7 and number 8. So you can clearly see the jump in number 7 to number 8. And that's what I've been finding with a lot of the bronzers that I've been looking at, is that there is such a huge jump between what they would consider a tan shade and what they would consider a deep shade, that there isn't any shade that exists for people that are in that medium deep category. And I'm really, you know, just kind of disappointed that most of the bronzers that I tried and most of the bronzers that I was looking at was missing that sort of in-between shade. But like I said, number 7 does work, but it barely shows up. And number 8 is stunning. And you can see just from looking at this that it's not overly red. I actually feel like the LYS bronzer has more red in it than the Dior bronzer. So, you know. So again, just to run through all the bronzers that I tried. This is the LYS bronzer in the shade Strength. This is the Makeup by Mario bronzer in the shade Dark. This is the Charlotte Tilbury in number 3 Tan. And then we have the Dior Forever Bronze in number 7 and number 8. So those were all of the bronzers that I have been trying over the last couple of weeks. And it has been an adventure, y'all. Now, do I think that I found like my holy grail bronzer, the bronzer to replace all bronzers? Honestly, no. I think that I'm still on the hunt for like the best bronzer ever. So if you guys have any recommendations, please leave them down in the comments. I have on my list to try the Gucci bronzer next, but you know, your girl needs a sale because Gucci is not cheap. So I'm hoping to find a really good sale where I can pick up the Gucci bronzer, because another thing about all of these bronzers is that they're matte bronzers. There's no shimmer to them. And while I prefer a more matte bronzer, I do like a slight shimmer in there. Not a crazy amount of shimmer, just like a hint of shimmer that just gives it a little bit of a glow. So if you were thinking about bronzers that you have in your collection, or bronzers that you've tried that you've fallen in love with, please leave them down in the comments below, because I would love to, you know, keep my bronzer hunt going. Anyways, to wrap this up, I want to give you guys kind of my final thoughts on all of the bronzers that I picked up. Of the 5 bronzers that I showed you all, these 3 are my definite faves, and these 3 are the ones that I'm 100% keeping in my collection. The Dior bronze in number 8, the LYS Beauty in strength, and the Makeup by Mario. These 3, I do really enjoy how they perform, and I love how they look on my skin, so I'm 100% keeping them. Now, the 2 that are 100% on the chopping block and most likely will be going back to the store are the Charlotte Tilbury number 3, as well as the Dior bronzer in number 7. These are both very expensive bronzers, so I don't want to keep them in my collection if I'm not going to get any use out of them, or if they just don't work for my skin tone. So I will likely be returning those. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you guys have any favorite bronzers that you would recommend, please leave them down in the comments below. As always, if you liked this video, please make sure you like, please make sure you subscribe, and please share. I love having you all here in this little beauty community that I'm building, and I just look forward to seeing it grow. And that's it for me, guys. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.